Good morning, good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Inspired Riding interview series. I'm Beth Lauren Parrish with Inspired Riding, and today I'm so excited to introduce you or remind you of the amazing, lovely Melody Semmler. Melody, thank you so much for being here.
You are very welcome. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So, if you guys didn't know Melody, she is actually my equestrian entrepreneur business coach. We call her the unicorn coach. She is actually one of the most influential coaches I've had over the many years I've been building up my online business. I'm so appreciative of her and grateful that she pushed me to not only do all the things in my business to build my confidence and help my students, but she also, in your interest, helped me jump in and actually grow this group that we're in. So if it wasn't for Melody, we wouldn't be here right now. So I just wanted to acknowledge that and thank her again. So everybody, thank Melody for having this amazing fun place to interact with. Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay, so there I go, just gushing about you. Let's start with a really fun question. If I were to hand you $10 million, what would be the first thing you would do?
The first fun thing or the first thing?
The first thing or fun thing you choose.
Well, the first thing I'd do is I'd pay off our debts. Yeah. But then the first fun thing I would do would be to fly over to your place and hang out with you guys for a little while.
I love it.
On a private jet.
Yes.
I don't know if I could afford that with 10 million. I have no idea how much. I mean, maybe I'll just rent it for a couple of days.
You could probably rent it. There's a company called NetJets, and you can actually hire them to fly you. Well, and they even allow your pets.
I'm coming over. So are the horses. So are the boys.
Right on.
And we're going to hang out at your place, but not if it's cold. Don't do cold.
Right, right. So I would say spring or autumn would be the best times for us.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, so that's settled. I love it.
Awesome. I'll let you know when I'm on the way.
So let's see. When did you begin riding, and what was that experience like for you?
I was 11 years old, and at the time my mum was quite ill, and I spent a lot of time at the neighbour's place across the road with their kids who were 1 year younger, 3 years younger and 5 years younger than me. They went to riding lessons on a Thursday after school, and they asked if I could come. And I went along with them one lesson, and we had a lesson inside the arena. And then the way this riding school worked is we would have one lesson in the arena. The next week we would go out on a trail ride. The next week would be in the arena. Next week would be out on the trail ride. And I think those kids all quit by the end of that year. And then it was just me still going.
Oh, wow.
I loved it. It was awesome.
You were bitten by the bug.
Oh, absolutely. And I had a specific horse that I loved. And it was a wonderful experience. That school also did riding for the disabled. So I also volunteered there 2 days a week after school. Oh, wow. And would help lead the horses around and tack them up and hang on to people's legs and stuff to help them feel secure. So it was a pretty cool time.
What a beautiful thing to be able to do as a child.
Oh, it was amazing. It was amazing. Yeah.
And did you enjoy the instruction that they gave you?
You know, I don't really remember the arena lessons.
Okay.
I just remember the trail rides. Like I could picture the hills. I can picture the scenery. So they must have been what impacted me over the arena. Can't even picture what the arena looks like, to be honest.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But I just remember just loving the trail rides and just loving that feeling of freedom, of being able to go off in these big spaces, because it was always big open areas that we would be riding through, big farms. And I just remember loving that experience, and then decided that I needed to get my own horse. And so then I started the quest of I need my own horse, Mum and Dad.
That was my next question, actually, because I wanted to know, when did you get your first horse?
I think I was 12, or maybe I started riding lessons when I was 10, and then I got my first horse when I was 11. Maybe that was it.
Okay.
And I literally got this horse just from harassing my dad. And I remember saying, can I have a puppy? Can I have a kitten? Can I have a fish? Can I have a chicken? And I remember saying, can I have a chicken then? And he's like, all right, you can get a horse. So I was like lowering down the expectations, and then eventually I just nagged him into it. And we found a horse for free lease. And she was for free lease. And I was riding, I don't even know if I've even told you this story offline, but she was from a place that was about an hour and a half ride from our place. So my parents weren't horsey. We didn't have a trailer, didn't have a horse float, no way of transporting this horse. She was an ex-trotter.
Wow.
And I tonked around in the paddock at their place, and just, you know, we got talked into this was the perfect horse for me. And so as I was riding her home, something went disastrously wrong, and I fell off. Didn't hurt myself, but I fell off. And then I just started walking her home, sobbing. And I ran into this lady who was riding this beautiful, big, flea-bitten grey horse. And she rescued me, got me home, and she popped me on this horse. His name was Pepper. And she popped me on Pepper, and she led Twiggy, was the other horse, and talked to Mum and Dad, and we decided to take that horse back, send it back. And I did ride it back. And then when I got back to the property that we bought her off, she was so naughty. She bolted and ran into a shed that had a low roof, and I put my arms up, so my arms got all hacked up, and I fell off and hurt myself then. And so that was the end of that walk. So literally we had her 2 days. And then the lady that had rescued me contacted my parents and said, would Melody like to have Pepper for a year or 2?
Oh, wow.
So Pepper came to live with me just by coincidentally bumping into me, sobbing, leading this horse that I hated already down the track.
Angels were watching out for you, I think.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
so
I didn't realize it was Pepper. How cool is that?
Yeah, so my Pepper was a thoroughbred. He was about 16 hands, flea-bitten grey, dear sweet horse. Yeah.
That's beautiful. And is that woman still around?
We lost touch with her within a couple of years, so I don't know. I didn't really have much to do with her, and in the end something sort of happened that sort of soured us a little. Okay. I was so in love with Pepper, and she had told Mum and Dad that we could buy him, and then she asked if just before we did that if she could take him for one last ride, and she didn't return him, and she decided she decided to keep him and not bring him back. He was her horse, but as you can imagine, from my parents' point of view, they had a very devastated child.
Of course.
I was really, really upset.
You got so attached. Yeah.
And he was a great horse, but you know, he came into my life for a reason, so they definitely rescued me. I'm really
glad that she did show up, and you had those beautiful years, so that's good.
Yeah.
So let's see. Have you had a heart horse? And if so, what made them special?
I think Omar was my heart horse. He's my Palomino. I bought him in my early 20s. I think I might have even been 19. I was looking for a Palomino mare that was at least 7 years old, and somehow I ended up buying a 20-month-old, freshly gelded young upstart whose parents were neither over 14 too. So I'm not sure why someone 5'10", my height, would be looking for a horse that had a mother that was 14 too and a father that was 14 1. But Omar grew to be 15 too. It turns out his mother was one of twins.
Wow.
So
That's not
genetically,
very
she
common.
should have been 16 hands. Her mum was 16 hands. So he grew taller and taller. And Omar, I had him for 26 and a half years, lost him 6 years ago with paddock injury or paddock accident. He broke his leg in the paddock at 28.
So sorry. Yeah.
But he was the best horse ever. You could just do anything with him. You could, just go to a show and he would just, he'd warm up really slothy, but then you put him in the show ring and he would be amazing. Take him out on bush rides. He was just super fun to be. Could just do anything with him.
That's the best feeling.
Yeah. Just point him at some jumps. He would jump them. He'd never refused. He never ducked out. He just do his best. There was, I was never fearful on him. The only thing he didn't like was getting his toes wet, but he was
I was just
part
going to
Arab.
ask, did you take him to the beach? Did he?
Yeah, I did, but
Okay.
we would fight tooth and nail to get him wet. And so it wasn't really something that we did a lot.
Okay.
Because it was a pain in the ass to get in the water.
And you said he was Arabian?
Yes, it was 3/4 Arabian.
Okay.
And quarter thoroughbred, mostly. Not quite.
Okay, so kind of like Anglo-Arab. Got it.
Yeah, almost.
Yeah.
And he didn't like, I always jokingly said it's because he was an Arab. He was bred on the desert. They don't have water there.
It's funny because I used to say that about my heart horse Biffy, a Polish Arab, and we took him to the lake and he was like, I'm not going near that one.
Same.
So interesting.
Omar would fight and fight. He would turn into a fire-breathing dragon if you asked him to even step into a puddle. And I did all sorts of training. The only way I could ever get him through puddle or anything, if we just had no way around, was to back him into it. And that would be scary because sometimes he would just leap in the air.
No, thank you. I told you.
There was a time where we'd done so many shows and achieved so much that I wanted to change discipline, and I wanted to do some eventing, some just low-level fun eventing. And after the first 3 one-day events we went to, we got eliminated at the water jump each time. I was like, this is not for us.
Yeah.
And then he injured himself, and that was the end of his career. But yeah. So yeah, no, he was amazing.
He sounds like a lot of fun though.
I went down the aisle on him.
How fun.
Yeah. I rode him side saddle down the street, and then we got married in a garden. So I literally rode down to the ceremony.
I'd love to see photos of that.
Side saddle on him. Yeah, it was awesome. I will share some.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah. In my purple dress.
Really? For real?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love it. Taking the purple everywhere. I love it.
Yeah. Well, Jared said to me, I was like, well, how passionate about a big white fluffy dress are you? And he said, you can turn up in a Ronald McDonald suit if you want. I'm marrying you, not the dress.
That's a good man. I like that answer.
Yeah, I've decided to keep him. So I bought a purple dress.
Oh my gosh. I can't wait to see this photo now.
I'll pull it out. It's old.
Yes.
What's our 21st wedding anniversary this year?
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, we're about to hit 13 in March. 16 together, 13 married. So, yeah, it's weird. Time is wobbly. Yeah. Let's see. What's something that you wish you had known from the start of your horse journey?
How much ill-fitting gear can affect horses' behavior?
Yes.
I think because, back then you would just look in the newspaper for a saddle and buy it and stick it on. And sometimes if it didn't fit, you just fold a towel up and wedge it under that bit. Or you'd just get a different stretchy girth, or you'd put a surcingle over the top of the saddle. All the things that we did, there was just no thought or consideration to how it fitted, whether it was comfortable, and the horse that I spent a fair bit of my pony club years on had a mouth of steel, and we just added harder bits because I couldn't hold him, and that was not helping. It was the opposite. So, I look back now and go, I wonder how much back pain there was, and I wonder if I'd changed saddles and tried a softer bit and tried a different bridle, and how was my brow band too tight, like all of those things. That was just never even discussed. Yeah.
That's huge. And it's so good that we know now.
Yeah, I mean, we've come so far in that aspect, and there's so many different options available now. But, back when I first started riding, you just threw on whatever you had.
Yes, and I remember having those little towels and little pads and continually bringing my horse up to my riding instructor, like, does this look okay? He's like, yeah, it'll work. And, we just kind of like, made do. And, you just hope the horse is feeling okay.
I remember feeling really clever when we learnt to fold a towel in half and then half again, so it sort of had little thirds. I was like, that's really great because it's evening it all out. Now I look back on it and I'm like, there's 3 ridges there on that horse's back. That's just hideous.
Totally. Yes.
But things we know now.
Know better, do better now, right?
Yes. Yeah. See, back then it was add more gear. Now it's take away gear.
Yes,
really?
Totally. Yeah. I take away my nose bands and playing with bitless here and there. Yeah. One day maybe bridle-less, but I think I need a round pen to start out in that.
Yeah, probably.
But I did that with my little Arab, and he was so good. So yeah, maybe one day. I'm pretty sure Pepper would enjoy that. I'm sure he'll get a kick out of it at least. So.
I'm sure he would.
Yeah. Yeah. But you've done some bridle-less. Do you want to share how that experience was for you?
Yeah. So that was with Phantom, who's my other horse that I own. That he's retired now. So he's 18. He's an Anglo-Arab. And it came about because I was at the time when I bought him, I was trying to replace Omar, and Omar was a successful show horse that I would go to a show and clean up, and I could reliably take him out, whether he'd had 6 weeks of work or whether he'd had 6 weeks of nothing. I could go in the show ring and he would just put his show game on and off we'd go. And I mean, you could say he was almost push button. And I wanted Phantom to replace that. And it didn't work out like that. He was tense, he was anxious, he would pig root, he would kick out, he would carry on at the float. It would just be difficult. And shows often ended with me sitting on the ramp of my horse float in tears, frustrated because I've withdrawn because he's been such a shit. And one day somebody said to me, it was Pip Donaldson actually. She was giving me a hand. I'd taken Phantom to the State Equestrian Centre. He was being a demonstration for a class that was talking about saddle fit. And I had to canter, and I was a bit worried because he's a bucky horse, he can buck. And she got me a little bit of string and put it on as a neck rope. And she jokingly said to me, it'd be really good if you could just ride him with this string. And I went home, and the next day I got in I didn't even have an arena then. We just had a paddock. So 2 acres fenced with all kinds of obstacles in it. And I had the string that she'd given me, and I just took the bridle off and put it on the ground and just went, well, I wonder what I can do now.
Wow.
And it was really fascinating because out and about, I was a nervous rider on him with a bridle, and he was nervous, anxious, uppity, fidget, just an anxious, worried horse all the time. And take the bridle off, and that took away everything. And I tried all kinds of things. I tried just riding with no reins, but the bits there, tried riding with no reins. I tried riding just with a halter and lead rope, but not hanging onto that. It didn't work. The only way it worked was if the only thing I had was that tiny little neck rope, which did nothing. It was just tiny, like the thickness of your little finger, a bit of string around his neck, loose. And I think what I realized is that when I took that bridle off, I had nothing but that string, my balance, and my intention. And he had to trust me because he didn't have a bridle or reins. There was no backup. There was absolutely no backup. If something went wrong, I couldn't just pick up the reins because they weren't there. And within 2 weeks, I was walking, trotting, cantering, going backwards, going complete circles. I had a square marked out with poles in the middle of our paddock, and I would be able to trot him into that, stop him in the square, turn him around, complete 180, trot back out, trot over a little jump, all with no bridle, just hanging onto that string. Asked me to go for a walk to the end of my street and back with a bridle on, wouldn't have been able to do it.
Amazing.
It was just some magical thing. And, you know, maybe I'll do it again.
Why not?
Well, you know, I'd been kind of heading towards that.
Mm-hmm.
And then slight mishap in September last year, and haven't sat on a horse since. But, you know, that when I'm back to riding, it has been something that's on my mind, that for him, taking away the bridle took away the pressure. There was no potential for going to a show. There was no, you know, he knew we were just going to play in the paddock. And it was really super cool because it really made me realize how much my intention and me lifting my energy and then reducing my energy, how much that could influence the horse.
Yes, yes.
And that's, I think, when I became aware of energy and intention. I think that was like my first recognition of that.
I love that. So that carries through with everything else in your life too.
It really does. It really does. Yeah. It was quite a, you know, it was a short period of time. There was maybe 3 or 4 months that I was doing that for, maybe not longer. And then I lost Omar, and then my father died, and then stuff all just like everything just went pear-shaped around then. But I had, you know, 3 months of really good fun, maybe even longer. I took some really cool videos. I actually took a video of, like, with my phone in my hand, of me cantering around the arena.
You still have that?
Yes, it's on my YouTube channel. I can send you the link to it. It's
That's
really
fantastic.
cool.
So
It's
I
really
would
cool.
watch that and start visualizing that more again.
Well, that's a great idea. And I must admit, it is the moments where I am questioning, am I a good rider? Should I be riding? You know, am I good enough? I do go and look at that video sometimes of what I did with him. Because
you are good enough. You're always good enough and more.
Yeah, because it's a
Yes.
reminder, like, if I can do that with a horse that's, you know, he's difficult.
Yes, that's huge. And you should definitely remind yourself how badass that is.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because, you know, like, you know, there, like I say, there's no backup. You are cantering around and not in an enclosed area.
Yeah, not many people would be brave enough to do that. So that's
I mean, there's brave and there's stupid. And, you know, you and I talk a fair bit, you know, I do jump into things without preparation sometimes. And I definitely did with Phantom. I was just lucky he didn't kill me. But it also, I feel like he knew that I put my trust in him and my safety with him. And
I think he really appreciated that.
It formed an amazing bond with that horse that I hadn't had prior to that. And I'd had him quite a few years. And that bond is still there. Even though I don't sit on him now, it's definitely still there.
So beautiful.
Yeah. Maybe not so much today after he didn't want his leg soaking in an ice bucket. He was,
you know,
a bit of a
they all
nerd.
have their preferences.
Yeah, he was a little bit of a nerd about that today. But anyway, he's fine now.
So do you want to tell us a little bit about JD, your current love?
My current love. JD is my current love. He is, how old is he now? He's 10. He's 10. I've had him for 5 years. He's a Irish sport horse, and he's 16.2-ish high and wide. He's like a 3 extra wide gullet size. When I bought JD, I was being influenced by a lot of people around me, and I thought that I wanted to do eventing and other such things, and maybe I did, and maybe I still do, I don't know. But I'd been through a process. I'd been looking for 9 months. I'd tried to buy a couple of horses that vetted out that ended up being unsound. So I'd had a couple of big disappointments. And when I met JD, it was just love at first sight. I bought him on the spot, subject to a vet check, which he did pass. He was advertised as ready to go in eventing, and he had just finished a 1-day event the weekend before I got him. What I didn't realise was that he had trotted around that course. He'd come last. It wasn't the placing that concerned me, but it turned out that he'd only been ridden about 30 times at all.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
So I think the reason they took him to that 1-day event was to get photos of him jumping. Yeah. And there were some awesome photos of him jumping. Really impressive. They weren't big jumps, but he looked, he's a big, powerful, strong horse. So it just sort of gave me the impression. So he was far more green and far more uneducated than I expected.
But on the plus side, they didn't start him too early and ask for too much. So
no, not at all. Definitely not. And he came with a very unflappable attitude. He was very quiet. He was very calm. He hasn't always stayed quiet and calm. There have been moments, particularly out on bush rides, when I get unconfident. But typically he is a very quiet, he's a very endearing horse. Everyone loves him because he's all smoochy and cuddly, and sometimes he's a bit too mouthy, and he's a bit too, I think he's got some internal anxiety that he's dealing with by just fiddling. I think he's probably, if he was human, he would probably be one of those ADHD adults that has a fidget spinner in their hand all the time.
Right.
But he doesn't have a fidget spinner. He's got a mouth, so he's always got something in his mouth. Big fat personality.
So and he wants to be your new hairdresser.
He wants to be my new hairdresser. He likes playing with my hair. He likes snotting on me. He likes licking me. But what I really love is when I come outside, because the horses live at home with us, when I come outside and he even hears the back door close, he calls out, no matter where he is in the paddock, any time of the day. Any time of the day. And even sometimes if there's a lot of noise inside the house, he also does call out. So it's really beautiful.
That's the sweetest thing.
Yeah.
It makes your heart just go burst when
I know, it makes me feel so loved.
So fun. Yeah, Pepper does it occasionally, not every time. And when he does, I'd almost start crying because he sounds like a unicorn. He's got such a high-pitched whinny.
Yes. I mean, I'm sure JD is actually calling out to say, come and bring me food, woman. But I mean, I jokingly say that. Like, he will often look up from a massive bale of hay that he's eating and just yell out to me.
Aww.
And he'll come over. So he's very much likes his human interaction, and if someone turns up in a car, he'll call out to them as well, like, "Hi, come over and see me." He likes to be
the star. Yes,
he likes to be the center of attention. Yeah,
I totally get that. Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. If you had a magic wand, what would you change in the horse world?
What would I change in the horse world? I would wave the wand over the entire world, and then every single person that has horses would suddenly be empowered to just do whatever they want, and they would feel confident enough. So every single person, so it'd just be one wave of my wand, but every single person is suddenly not going to be trying to compete with the friend down the street, not going to be trying to compete with their perception of what they thought they were going to be. And also every single person that puts that foot in that stirrup is going to feel super confident.
I've got full on chills. It's like, that's exactly what I want too.
Well, can you just wave your wand and be done with it?
I'm working on it.
Because you do have a wand.
I do have my wand right here.
See? Yes.
Empower everyone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be great? Something in the water. We could put something in the water, or I don't know.
You know, there's an app out there that people can actually download and get that feeling.
That is true. That is true.
That focus app. Check it out, you guys.
Yep, it's awesome. I love it.
I'm so glad. Thank you. Let's see. We're coming up towards the end. Is there anything else that I didn't ask you that you wanted to share?
Oh. Well, that's put me on the spot.
No worries.
Well, okay, yeah. Let's spill the beans. Tomorrow, I am taking JD to the beach. I am meeting a friend there, and I plan to get on him for the first time in 6 months because I fell off and broke my pelvis beginning of September last year. So tomorrow, all going to plan. He did have a fat leg today. So both horses had one hind leg, both really swollen. I've no idea what they did. His went down much better than Phantom's. I did all the things, soaked them in ice and gave them bute and put clay on and what have you, as long as his leg doesn't swell back up overnight, and then I'll be heading off first thing in the morning.
So happy
to take
for
him
you.
to the beach. I can't wait.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'll keep sending him love that his leg will feel 1,000 times better. So
yeah, and it's really like being in the ocean wouldn't affect a swollen leg, but it's a long transport, so it's an hour and a quarter drive in both directions. So if there's any chance that will be uncomfortable, he's just had a slight nick on the leg, so I think it's just he's banged it and it's swollen up, but it was down considerably tonight. So hopefully tomorrow I'm going to sit on my horse.
that'd be so awesome. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And, you know, if he does decide that he can't remember what it feels like to be ridden and just try and eject me, I will just be in water. So I'll just fall.
Yes, let's just focus on staying on him. Don't even think that way. Okay. Let's not even go to the worst case. We're just going to go. You're going to have a wonderful time. His leg will feel amazing.
Yeah.
You'll be able to sit on him and enjoy your moment of glory on your birthday.
Yes.
Happy early birthday. Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Perfect birthday present.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. I love it.
Yeah.
So last question. What would you write on a billboard for the entire horse world to see?
It would say, listen to your horse, listen to yourself. And each one would have a full stop, and they would be on a new line, just, you know, because I'm a graphic designer as well, so it's got to look good.
Got it. Yeah. I'll send you the preview before I publish it. I'm making one for everyone. So.
Oh, awesome. That's fantastic. Yeah, that would be my billboard.
I love it.
Yeah, cool.
And that goes right in with inspired riding. Trust your intuition, listen to your horse, believe in yourself. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, well, a little bit of you's rubbing off on me, obviously. Quite a lot of you.
I'm very glad.
Quite a lot of you. Yeah.
Well, I'm so grateful for this time with you. Thank you for doing this interview with me.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And I'm just sending all of you guys love. Thank you for watching. Please put in the comments if you have any questions for us. And if anyone is interested in learning more about Melody's business, she's Equine Entrepreneurs, and we can put a link in the comments. By far, like I said, the best business coach I've ever worked with. She's amazing. And yes, so if you are in the horse business and you need help, ask her. And if you're in the business of building confidence and need help, ask me.
Yeah, that's the one.
There we go.
Absolutely.
So, all right, you guys. Well, remember to lead with kindness for yourself and for your horse. Thanks so much for listening and watching, and may the horse be with you always. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.